No one could have known it then, but when Daytona International Speedway opened in 1959, it marked the beginning of a new era in American motorsports. As a replacement for the old beach road course a few miles to the east, the opening of the high-bank 2.5-mile Florida Tri-Oval represented the leading edge of a wave of construction of big paved speed palaces. Before Daytona, Indianapolis was the only American oval track longer than 1.25 miles, and most racing took place on dirt ovals a mile or less in length. From the very first Daytona 500, won by Lee Petty in a three-way photo finish, those high banks proved a favorable venue for the wide-open stock car racing. Daytona kicked off the growth of NASCAR as we know it today. Daytona was also the first multi-use facility with a 3.56-mile road circuit incorporating the infield and most of the oval, to host not only the Daytona 500, but also the Rolex 24 season kickoff for the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series, the AMA's signature Daytona 200 Bike Week, the WKA's Daytona Kart Week between Christmas and New Year's, and a host of driving schools, clubs, and other events. Daytona's busy and diverse schedule conforms the track's motto, the world's center of racing. Tonight, it's the Downrange Transport Grand Prix of Daytona, and it's next on HBR TV. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Daytona Beach, the Downrange Transport Premier Series Grand Prix of Daytona. Tape-delayed coverage from, well, just yesterday. Happy to bring it to you. Excited for it here this evening. Going to be a 90-minute race. Timed event. No lap counting to be concerned with. Very similar to IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Racing. We don't worry about the lap count. We just count the minutes until the finish. But practice, speaking of minutes, just winding down. About 2 minutes plus before this one wraps up. Let's go down trackside, see where everybody's shaking out. Right now, the 11 of Bondurant, the fastest thus far. Then Sean Petchin, the 99 of Max Wobbles, Sam Fontaine, and Diego Sainz, your top 5 times. Minute 48.12 for Bondurant, pretty quick. Now, got to warn you guys, there's some drivers out here that can really get around a road course, and there's a bunch of guys out here that can really get around an oval and not so good on the road course. So we're going to see maybe some different drivers towards the front of the field, or maybe you'll just see the usual suspects. They're good everywhere we go. We will have to wait and see, though. Minute and a half left in the session. We'll get into our 10-minute qualifying session. The other part of this, with being a timed race and not done by lap count, drivers may have to think a little bit differently as far as tire and fuel strategy is concerned. To my knowledge, we will not have any full course cautions to speak of, local yellows only. Clock strikes 0 in the session. Practice complete. Justin Bondurant topping the chart. About 0.2 faster than the 69 of Sean Petchin. Looks like Diego Sainz going to roll first here and try to throw down a couple of laps here, see where he can shake out. Sainz into the horseshoe. So that bus stop is really a key place to be concerned with if you're trying to get a good time around this track. You almost want to sacrifice the entry to have a solid exit, as much speed as possible. You see they're not using the old NASCAR chicane here. This is the IMSA layout. Diego Sainz looking sharp into turn 1. No one has really completed a full lap just yet. Gives you an idea how big this place is. Almost a full 2 minutes just to get one lap in. It would explain the longer qualifying session they've got set up here. Usually 5 minutes, 10 minutes the session here, trying to get everybody through at least 2 laps. Diego Sainz back to the Daytona tri-oval here to complete his first lap. Goes a minute 48.49. Good lap. Justin Bondurant, remember, was fastest in practice. We'll see what he can throw down. Oh, gets the fence. I don't know if that was lap 1 or if that was his out lap. He has yet to take the green flag. Luckily, he can reset here and come back through. Keep a close eye on this and see what Bondo can get figured out. Again, he was real fast in practice. Brandon Alphen, lap 1 complete, minute 49.152. Terry Crouch in the stream chat says, that looks like a Steve Singer paint if I ever seen one. You might be right. Alphen down the backstretch here, hard on the brakes into the bus stop. Some things to take note of here. Again, this being the IMSA layout, the curbing in the bus stop, not 10 feet tall like it was for the NASCAR race. They're running the IMSA curb, so not too terrible. Easy for these stock cars to jump over. Not too much problems. Alphen through turns, NASCAR turns 3 and 4. Back to start finish. Going to finish up lap number 2. Then we'll check on Bondurant again, see what he's got going on. Minute 50.708. I'm not sure if there was a mistake there or if that's just the fall off. Bondurant being credited 3 minutes, 29 seconds for lap 1. That's all by and large due to his incident exiting the bus stop on lap 1. He should be able to get one solid lap in here. See if you can nail it this time through the bus stop. Little conservative. Keeps it out of the fence, though, so that's a plus. 99 to Max Wobbles gets a 1 minute lap time. He must have skipped something. That's almost going around the whole oval here. I don't know if that's going to be good. I think he missed some corners there. Bondurant goes P2, which effectively is going to be P1 here. That time that Wobbles has there, a minute .25, that is definitely missing parts of the racetrack. Not sure what the situation there is, how that even counted. Miles' first lap, a minute 50.290. Miles down the backstretch, hard on throttle here. Again, hard on the brakes to get through the bus stop once again. Miles on to NASCAR 4. Going to be wide open all the way to start finish here. Miles goes a minute 50.022. Wobble's still on the racetrack here. I think he's just trying to get a solid, clean lap in, but he's struggling here. Maybe he's just trying to drift. I don't know. He shows his P1. He is not your pole sitter. He's not going to be able to take that lap time to the point. Probably going to have to go to the back. As qualifying comes to an end. So with that, let's take a look at our starting grid for the Daytona Grand Prix. On the pole with a lap time of 1 minute 48.395. It's the 11 of Justin Bondurant. Starting second, the 44 with Gunslingers Racing, it's Diego Sainz. Starting third, Luke Knupp in the 15. Sam Fontaine, the 77, rolls from the 4 spot. Brandon Alphin, the number 21, starts fifth. Sean Petchin, second quick in practice, sixth quick in qualifying. He'll start in row 3. Starting seventh, the 23 of Tristan Lattiser. Cameron Ingram starts 8th. Alex Bryson, 9th. 10th goes to Jason Dalton. Steve Miles, number 24, rolls from P11. 12th goes to Blaine Sparling. Ben Pierce will roll from the 13th position. Josh Gagnon, 14th. Alex Cummings, the number 63, he'll start 15th. Max Wobbles looks like he's going to take the 16th position. Sam Barnes, 17th. Chris Evans, 18th. Asher Gwinzy, 19th. 20th position goes to the 48 of Chris Dean. 21st, Richard Midkiff. 22nd, Cedric Ingram. Andrew Miller is going to start 23rd. Luke Simonson, 24th. And last but not least, the 40 of Tyler Brewer, starting 25th. Shotgun on the field. I don't know if he even took a time. That's your starting grid here for the Daytona Grand Prix Downrange Transport Premier Series. Field just pulling away from the back straightaway, kind of a shortened parade lap. It's a minute 48 under green. It's a whole lot longer under yellow. So the big question is, are they going to make it into turn 1 here without an incident? That really is the big question on everybody's mind. And even more so the next time by under green flag conditions without that second chicane that they were running in NASCAR races to slow them down before they get to turn 1. Remember, they're wide open throttle from the bus stop, past start finish, all the way down into turn number 1. Pace car pulls off. Top half of the field looks nice and tight. We'll see what happens with the rest of them. Bondo in the throttle. We're racing green here at Daytona International Speedway. And there it is. We got trouble already. Down into turn 1, under braking. 3, 4, 5 cars possibly in trouble. Locking them up, spinning through the grass. all look to be relatively minor, but some opting to just go right to pit lane. Bondurant with the race lead, not too far back is the 15 of Luke Knupp. Bondurant taking a defensive line already. Field already through the infield section of the course, back up on NASCAR 1 and 2. Getting word that Jason Dalton missed a shift, or in fact grabbed too many gears getting into turn 1, lost the engine. That would explain the lockup down into turn number 1. Hard under braking down into turn number 1. Bondurant and Knupp starting to get away from Diego Sainz, Sam Fontaine, and Brandon Alphen. We'll see if they get through this first turn. Heavy braking, probably the heaviest braking in the whole race course down into turn 1 without that second chicane. Second, really, well, maybe not even second only to the bus stop, but they're on the brakes pretty hard there, but a fast set of corners off the back straightaway. Turn 1, pretty hard, pretty flat. Got to get her wound down. Bondurant now up to almost a full second advantage, just shy of it to be specific, over the 15 of Luke Knupp. Bondurant puts the power down, stretches it to a 2.5 seconds. Fontaine running in P3, Brandon Alphen runs 4th, Sean Petchen 5th. Remember, Petchen was second fast in practice. Keep a close eye on that car tonight. Petchen does run some road racing series, not just stock cars. Would not be odd to see him in a GT3 or faster, even LMP2 or something of that nature. It helps across the board. Doesn't matter what you're racing. If you're going to run road races, even in a high downforce, high grip GT3 or even an LMP2 or even the GTP cars, it will eventually transfer over to your stock cars and even benefit you on ovals as well, at least those ovals with braking zones. Obviously, it's not going to help you on the super speedways, but anytime you got to get on the brakes, if you've got some ability on the road tracks, it will absolutely help you on the ovals. Diego Sainz closing in on Petchen. Petchen working on the back of the 21er Brandon Alphen to get right on board. Alphen trying to get the power down, loses the rear end just a touch. Back up on the banking. Petchen runs a little wide on the exit of the bus stop. Still will be able to get some draft here. A little better exit out of the bus stop compared to Alphen. Still right there, less than a car length off the back bumper as they work through NASCAR 3 and 4. Bondurant, meanwhile, still out in front, 1.7 seconds over Luke Knupp. Petchen taking a peek through the tri-oval. He's got a nose alongside of Alphin. Alphin's going to let him go here, under braking down into that real slow turn number 1. Tristan Lattiser runs behind this group of Diego Sainz and Brandon Alphin as Petchen has moved himself up into the top 5. Top 4, that is. Cameron Ingram knocking on the back door here, trying to take the spot away. Report Andrew Miller might have had an issue on track. Looks like he's towing back to the pits. Max Wobbles saw his super fast time in qualifying of 1 minute. Obviously didn't count, but he runs 15th, up 1 spot from where he started. Diego Sainz running in 6th. He thought he was going to close in on Petchen. Petchen's gone by Brandon Alphin and put about a full second between himself and Diego Sainz. Alphin trying to fight back here. Closed in, got alongside for a moment. Alphin drives in there, gets to the throttle a little bit sooner. Petchen waits it out, then gets the power down, drives away, puts some more distance between himself and that number 21. Back out front, Justin Bondurant still with the race lead, continuing to stretch that advantage over the 15 of Luke Knupp. It's 1.75 seconds back to that number 15 machine, and then 3.89 seconds back to the 77 of Sam Fontaine. Let's give a call to Blaine Sparling here. He's running in the 11th spot, started 12th. Blaine is honestly a halfway decent road racer. We'll see what he can do here over the course of this event here. An hour and 20 minutes still remain. Sparling in some company here. Alex Bryson ahead, Alex Cummings just behind. Field pretty well strung out here. Not a whole lot of battling going on. Again, the deficit to second place, almost 2 seconds. Then there's 2-3 seconds as Petchin runs real wide, puts the left sides in the grass. Tristan Ladisauer and Steve Miles battling it out. Miles running in the 9th spot, up 2 positions already. Got a pretty long race here. 90 minutes. Miles goes to the top. Tristan takes the defensive line. Miles really gained ground under the braking zone down into turn 1. Continue to watch this fight. Miles has Alex Bryson just behind him. That's the 10th position. Miles running in 9th. He's trying to close in on Tristan Ladisauer. Really had a pretty good run out of the bus stop, which allowed him to gain so much ground on the 23 down into turn number 1. Oh, we got one car through the grass. Is that Blaine Sparling? Indeed it is. It's back on the hard stuff. Gets out of the grass. We got some stats coming out of the stream chat. 90 minutes is actually the longest road race in GLSR history. Well, I'm glad I put a couple of adult beverages in the fridge. Gotta stay hydrated. Tristan still maintaining his position ahead of Stephen Miles as they come back to the main straightaway here into the tri-oval. Another good run for Miles. We'll see where he is when he gets onto the brake zone once again. He seemed to gain a ton of ground that last time. Not as much. Ladisauer taking defensive line once again. Cameron Ingram just ahead. Looks like he might have locked up the tires getting into 1. Keeps it going down the road. More comments in the stream chat. It's definitely a different animal when you can't pace half of those 90 minutes. Speaking of pace, Justin Bondurant, his fastest lap of the day, 1:49.09. It's almost a full second faster than the best lap from Luke Knupp. Now, why is that important? Well, these Goodyear Racing Eagles underneath these Xfinity cars, not your typical road racing tire you'd see in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series with the Michelins. Those Michelin tires, they've got some grip, but they last a long time. You gotta have heat to get a lot of grip out of them. These tires, the fastest they're gonna be is pretty much leaving the pit box and for that next lap. After that, they're junk. And then they're junk more the next lap, and more junk the lap after that, and so on and so on. So these guys running real fast lap times. I'm curious to see the tire fall off. We are about 15 minutes in. We've got just about 8 laps on the board here. In lap times for Bondurant, his last time by was 1:51.19. So he's over 2 seconds off his fastest pace already. And we're only 15 minutes down. So we're real curious to see when they decide to come down pit lane. Is it going to be based on fuel alone? Or is it going to be, I can't drive this thing anymore because the tires are gone? Time will tell. Miles really closes in on Ladisauer there in the first horseshoe. Effectively turn 4. board with Steve Miles. He's got to run. See if he takes advantage. Now checks up just a bit. Not quite close enough to guide to the inside. Maybe in the last 5 minutes he would have kept his foot in it, but it's early on here. Here we go. Miles gets the run out of the bus stop. Showed some patience on entry. Backed up his corner. Got on the throttle before the 23. Makes the pass in NASCAR 3 and 4. Miles up into the 8th spot. I think Miles may start to put some distance on Laddiser here. Tristan, a little bit of wheel hop in the entry to the corner. Saw him trying to fight that car, wanting to step out on him. Chris Evans off the racetrack, down into turn 1, having his own issues. Doesn't hit anything, gets back in the throttle and continues on. 48 of Chris Dean, little wheel hop as well. Yeah, we lose both drivers for a moment there. Back up into the top 5, Sean Petchen. Hanging on to that spot for now. Diego Sainz not too far back. About 3/4 of a second the advantage over 6th place does Petchen have. Up to 3rd, Sam Fontaine. Again, all by himself. 2nd, Luke Knupp, 2.6 seconds back from Bondurant. Justin is continuing to stretch that lead out every lap. It's a bit faster every time, though I will say Luke Knupp, the last time by, was about 3/10 faster than Bondurant. Josh Gagnon having some trouble as well. Gagnon also off in turn 1. That's going to be the hot corner. Gagnon running a Sebastian Vettel tribute paint scheme. I don't even see any numbers on that car. How'd that one get by the officials? Gagnon typically the number 79 machine. He does have a small number on the front fender there. I guess for a road race, we'll let it go. Gagnon down 1 spot in the 15th position, started 14th. "20 minutes in here, we're going to step aside, get an HBR TV side-by-side break out of the way. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
I met Marco Sgarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
at Daytona International Speedway. An hour and 6 minutes remain. Justin Bondurant has led from the drop of the green flag. He's got 2.3 seconds over the 15 of Luke Knupp. Sam Fontaine runs third. Sean Petchen fourth. Brandon Alphin rounding out the top 5. Alex Cummings, we watch now, rounding out the top 10. Field is starting to really get strung out. Laddiser and Cummings, this battle for P9, really the closest battle on the track at the moment. Laddiser keeps it to the inside in turn 1. That's really where most of that grip is. It's been a fun battle to watch, really. Steve Miles, Tristan Laddiser, Alex Cummings, Alex Bryson, they've all really been somewhat close together since the drop of the green flag. Cummings, however, started 15th. Chris Evans, Blaine Sparling maybe had another issue on track. Whatever it was, they got it sorted pretty quickly. Chris Dean, same thing. Ben Pierce, we haven't talked about tonight. The 4 disappearing on the track. Sam Barnes, the number 22 machine. Man, we're having a lot of these guys blink out. Bondurant's been pretty solid again at the front of the field here all race long thus far. Fastest in practice, won the pole. So far, dominant performance. Has to be mistake-free, though. Watching the lap times, though, it seems that Luke Knupp starting to close in, but we saw him just lock it up there on entry to the corner. Can't get away with that for too long. You can flat spot those tires, put too much heat into him. You see he's having trouble getting the power down. The rear end of that car kind of dancing left to right. Deficit was under 2 seconds. Now it's 2.5. So that simple mistake for Luke into turn number 4 in that first horseshoe certainly cost him a lot of track position. Meanwhile, Max Wobble's in pit lane, just leaving the pits. Doesn't show that he even stopped, so I'm not sure if that was just a drive-through or what the scenario there was, but he's blinking out too. Luke Knupp down pit lane. First pit stop for one of our race leaders here, Luke Knupp, from the 2nd spot. Down pit road. Knupp slides to a stop in his pit box. Right sides do go in the air. I can't imagine you're going to see anyone hit pit lane tonight without taking tires. Question remains, is it going to be the pit stops because of the tires or because of the fuel? Based on the fact we're only 28.5 minutes into this, I think it's tires. Fall off here for Fontaine, running in 2nd now. His last lap, a minute 53. His best lap of the day, minute 49.9. So there is a significant amount of tire fall off on old tires here. We'll see how much time Luke Knupp can gain back being out there on fresh Goodyear Racing Eagles versus Bondurant and Fontaine, who've stayed out. Luke Knupp rejoins the race after his pit stop in the 13th position, lost 11 spots. But again, everybody else is going to need to make their pit stop. And again, Luke's out there a lot more comfortable with fresh tires underneath him. Alex Cummings now going to hit pit lane. Cummings down from the 9th position. Tristan Lattiser going to come down as well. Cummings down and away. 4 tires and fuel. Lattiser drops the jack. He's down and away as well. Good stop for the 23. 14.53 seconds for Tristan Lattiser. Max Wobbles going by on the outside. Sam Barnes just leaving the pits. Brandon Alphin running in P3 all by himself. Sean Petchen in the rear view. Petchen about 1 3/4 second deficit to the 21 of Alphin for now. Bondurant stays on the track. Fontaine stays on the track. Almost 8 seconds the advantage for Bondurant. Tyler Brewer just leaving the pits. Brewer running in 19th. 1 lap down. If I had to venture a guess, road racing just not his thing. It's been fast just about everywhere else, but certainly not here. Andrew Miller going wide into turn 1, gets it back on the track. Some damage on that number 74 machine. He's missing the hood. Cameron Ingram running in P6. He's up 2 spots. Steve Miles just a few car lengths behind, running in 7th. Miles is up 4 positions. Closes the gap pretty quickly there on the 5 of Ingram into the bus stop. Meanwhile, Brandon Alphen hits pit lane for his first stop of the afternoon. 55-plus minutes to go. Alphen brings the HBR TV number 21 into his box. Right sides go up in the air. They've changed out. Crew around to the left. Sunoco Racing fuel going in. 4 tires in fuel for Brandon Alphen. He's down and away. Slow exit out of the box. Got that S4 guy, Zach Millett, in the stream chat saying, quote, "Now this looks fun." Remember, Millett ran the Black Horizon Truck Series last season prior to the league switching to the Xfinity car. I think he won a race or two. Now, I gotta say, Zach, if you're available, you want to hop in the booth, certainly let that happen. Justin Bondurant out to a 9-second advantage as he loses connection for a brief moment as well. Actually, more than brief. Looked like Fontaine was going to hit pit lane there for a moment. Decided against it at the last minute. Bondurant still hasn't come back into the picture as he continues to free fall through the field, but now he just jumps back in. Connection issues for the 11. Bondurant back in, maintains the top spot. See a bunch of guys not registering in the timing tower. They're starting to come back in. Not really sure what it is about this particular league, or maybe it's just the drivers and their locations, the servers that they're pinging off of, but this is the only league that I have this issue with. Drivers jumping in and out based on connection-related issues. Nothing against them. They're a great group, but man, the coincidence is to have that many drivers drop out mid-race. Luckily, they do come back. Bondurant really on a tear here. He's got a 10.5-second advantage over P2. Bondurant disappears again. Haven't lost Fontaine yet. Let's see, is he coming now? Yes, he is. Fontaine was going to pit the last time by, decided to stretch it another lap. I'm not sure if that's because Bondurant disappeared. Maybe it threw off Fontaine. Maybe he changed his mind. Maybe I'll stay out one more lap, try to lead this thing because I've got the fuel. I don't know for sure, but either way, Fontaine and Bondurant listed as in pit lane. That is the case. He's come back into the fray. And look at that. Look who your new leader is. Luke Knupp. Short pit the field. Hit pit lane early. Made up a ton of track position with the better tires. He's going to go out and lead some laps, get some points. But I will say Bondurant's going to come out now with fresh tires. Lane Sparling now running in P3. He is yet to pit. Fontaine leaving pit lane, 14.45 his stop, very quick. Looks to be the fastest pit stop we've seen so far tonight. But there you have it. Luke Knupp, he made his pit stop 5 laps ago. And now he has a 10-second advantage over the 11 of Bondurant, virtually leapfrogging the 11 just by coming down early, getting some new tires, able to run faster laps. And I gotta say hi to Zach Millett as he jumps into the stream into the stream chat. He's actually in the real chat here. He's in the HPR TV broadcast booth. What's going on, Zach?
Hey, how we doing, Steve? It's a long way up here, man. I didn't know there was that many stairs here.
Well,
at Daytona.
there's an elevator. You didn't know about the elevator?
Well, it was full, and I wanted a donut before I got up here, so yeah, it was worth it.
Well, there you go. Well, thanks for coming up here. We've got about 50 minutes remaining here. It was a 90-minute race. I guess you could call it a sprint in terms of endurance racing, but it's actually the longest road race in GLSR history. 90 minutes. That's the planned distance. And I got to give them credit, man. They're running the Daytona road course on the IMSA layout. They're not even using that NASCAR chicane, which honestly, I'm not even 100% sure. I ran an AI race, and I didn't see it listed as an option to even use. So I don't know if iRacing kind of put the kibosh on that or if it's just not available in AI. But nonetheless, got to hand it to them. Wide open throttle out of the bus stop all the way down into turn one. That's pretty ballsy.
Yeah, this looks awesome, man. I wish I was in this thing. This looks amazing.
Well, you know, I was going to ask, I don't know what you were doing last night. I think you might have had another league race, but what were you doing?
I was actually still in Gettysburg. We went over to Gettysburg for 3 or 4 days, and
That's right.
I tell you, that was pretty insane, man.
So we leave the 6 hours of the Glen, and you go straight to Gettysburg with the fam. It's a good thing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we got home Sunday night and turned around. We left for Gettysburg at about 8:30 a.m. So yeah, we were pretty shot.
Good time had by all, I assume.
Oh yeah, that was worth it. Any of you guys that haven't been to Gettysburg yet, it's worth the trip. It's pretty amazing, to say the least.
I mean, if you're coming from up north, stop at Gettysburg, spend a couple of days, and then continue south, head to Daytona.
Yeah. Might take a little bit longer, but yeah, I'm down for that. You just say when. HBR field trip.
When?
Let's go.
So I don't know how far you've been watching the race, Zach, but to get you caught up on some of the strategy here, Luke Knupp decided to make the pit stop, short pit the field at lap 15. He was running in P2. He was about, I want to say, 8+ seconds back from Justin Bondurant. It might have been less than that, actually. Now he's got an 8-second advantage over Bondurant after pitting just 5 laps sooner. The fall off on the tires is incredible. Fastest lap of the day was like a 49.09, and they were running mid-53s at the end of the run.
These Xfinity cars are kind of infamous for their tire wear. They really do fall off and fall off big time. I had a race recently at COTA with the ARC series, and I was just blown away. I mean, I think it was 3 laps in, and we were 3-4 seconds off pace already.
Well, COTA especially, that place is a tire grinder all day long.
Yeah, it was all 130 degrees or so.
That'll do it. Been a relatively clean race thus far. We did have an incident on the start. Got to think back here. It was Dalton, I think, Jason Dalton. Too many downshifts down into turn 1 on the initial start. Popped the engine before he even made it to turn 1. Handful of cars spun to avoid. It was not a major incident, but it certainly ended the day for Dalton.
Oh, the old money shift. I've done that a couple times.
Luke now back on the banking. This is kind of working out for him here, honestly. He's got 7.2 seconds. Remember, he pitted lap 15. It's coming to lap 23. If he can maintain the lead before he makes his next pit stop, which if I'm him, I'm going to take it at lap 30, stick with that same strategy. If he's off sequence with Bondurant, I don't know, he might be able to make this work.
Yeah, I really feel like I expected Bondurant to be catching him a little quicker here, but maybe he's trying to save his stuff too, big picture.
Well, I don't know. Last lap for Bondurant was a minute 49.18 to Luke Knupp's minute 51.17, so he is hustling. He's 2 seconds faster just that lap time by. Really, everyone behind Knupp, third, fourth, second, third, and fourth, they're all a minute 49 and change. They're all running almost the same laps. In fact, Bondurant and Fontaine ran identical lap times the last time by.
Yeah, there are a ton of fast drivers in this league. The cool thing is, too, they're fast on oval and road, too.
And we've got Haley from Sweden in this stream chat. We thought she gave up on us. It's always super, super late when she tunes in HBR TV because, again, she is literally watching from Sweden. Haley, thanks for joining the chat here. Got the Xfinity cars at the Daytona Road Course. Bondurant's cut it down to about 6 seconds. He's gained a bunch. Still a full second faster the last time by was Bondurant.
Yeah, the old Ken Block paint scheme, too. It's hard not to root for that. Sweet.
So as we approach the halfway point, 45 minutes in, 45 minutes to go. We're going to take our second break here, go HBR TV side by side. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Daytona International Speedway, and Luke Knupp still with the top spot. 5.5 seconds the advantage over the 11 of Bondurant, who was so dominant in the first half of this. Knupp short pit the field, came down 5 laps sooner than anybody else. Took advantage of the fresh tires, the faster lap times, and it's really worked out for him. If you really think about it, he was 6 to 8 seconds behind the leader when he made his pit stop. Now, even after pit cycles have gone through, he still maintains a 5.5 second advantage. He's not running quite as fast, but I will say the last time by, Luke ran a 51.46 to Bondurant's 51.92. So far, strategy working in the favor of the 15. We'll have to see if Bondurant changes things up or if he sticks to his strategy. If he does, we expect to see Bondurant about lap 40. They're just completing, well, they're on lap 26 right now, so we got a ways to go. But you may see Luke Knupp down here in the next 3 or 4 laps if he stays on that short pit schedule. So Millet, I know you're a big road racing fan when it comes to driving these types of cars, whether it's this or a truck on road. Obviously these guys, there's some fast drivers out there, some hot shoes certainly. But do you see Luke Knupp, who's got decent pace, but also working that strategy? What would be your game plan for trying to take home a win here? Just raw pace, or are you going to try and work the strategy to your favor, or both?
I mean, strategy is always a big key to these races. I mean, you try to stop as few times as possible, but I mean, like what Luke did here. You know, if he short pits and gets back out on the track before everybody else, and keeps the pace up. If I was him, I'd probably stay right on that schedule. I mean, it's a little too much time to kind of plan out your final stop or anything like that, but I mean, if it's working, keep at it.
Even that time by, Luke Knupp was not faster than Bondurant, but it was only by about a little less than a tenth, a little more than it. So that's, you're not going to cut into a 5.5 second lead a tenth at a time with 38 minutes to go and still more pit stops to come. You're going to have to try and find to do it a different way.
Yeah, and that's raw pace too. There's no traffic out here for these guys, lap traffic.
Yeah,
you can see how hard it is for these guys to put the power down. Every time they come off a corner, these things just shake back and forth.
Yeah, right now, Luke Knupp in the lead over Bondurant. There is no traffic ahead of ahead of the 15, and no traffic ahead of Bondurant other than Luke Knupp. So these guys can just try to be consistent, run their laps. Cutting into it though. Now it's 4.6 seconds. He found some pace somewhere. Incredible pace here in the tri-oval. They're cracking 195 miles an hour at start finish and then standing on the brakes. All the way down to 50, 55 miles an hour into turn 1.
Man, you know we're going to have to try this after this race.
I know I did come out here and try it with the late model stock and the super late. It wasn't bad, it just didn't tickle my fancy, if you know what I mean.
I bet you it'd be more fun in the super late with the high speed.
Well, and I thought the same thing, but in my experience with the super, it was pretty fun in the infield section, great up on the banking, but when you tried to get on the brakes going down the backstretch before you got into the bus stop, it wanted to take a hard right into the outside wall for some reason. Every time you hit the brakes, it wanted to turn right.
Perfect.
So that's fun.
Yeah, you got to appreciate a car that tries to kill you every lap.
Make sure that you're paying attention, that's for sure.
It's a lot like these Xfinity cars. Once you get enough laps on these tires, it feels pretty much like the same thing.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we've seen that quite a bit. Even guys getting down onto the NASCAR portion of the oval, trying to put the hammer down and just cannot get that power to the racetrack because the tires are just done.
Yeah, I'm thinking Luke maybe is hitting that stage of the tires where they're just pretty much giving up. He gave up almost a second to Justin that last lap. See what it looks like this time around.
You know, I'll tell you though, it's 29 laps is where we're at right now. If he's going to stick to the same game plan, come down at lap 30. Remember, he hit pit lane at 15. He still has 4 seconds on Bondurant. He was about 6 seconds in the rears when he made his first stop. So if he does that again, pits now, gives up all that track position and lets it cycle through. Of course, we don't have full course cautions to contend with. I think Bondurant might have to pit as soon as he does and get on the same schedule, because Bondurant did have the pace on equal footing early on. But then what do? I mean, you got the worn tires, you're on equal footing as far as that part of it's concerned. You catch him, but now you got to pass him on the racetrack. I know Bondurant's been quick, but you got to wonder, does he have enough to get by? Because, yeah, you're faster, but you're not hugely faster. You need to kind of bomb it in there, kind of almost dive bomb the guy into a corner to get the pass done.
Yeah, and with these cars, man, that's way easier said than done.
Deficit 3.4 seconds. We talked early on about how this one looked to be going all the way in the favor of Bondurant. Just has to run a clean race and be consistent, not turn this thing sideways at any point, and he was going to have a win in hand. But Luke Knupp with the strategy, it's not going to make it easy. So lap 30 goes up on the board here. Let's see if Luke stays out or continues the same strategy. Come down pit lane here early by comparison. I'm not even sure how many tires they were allocated for. Usually I can go back and look, but this was a tape delay, so I can't even check it right now. .4 seconds the advantage for Luke Knupp over Justin Bondurant. It's coming down and coming down in a hurry. It's a 51.07 for Bondurant the last time, a full second and a couple of tenths faster than our race leader, Luke Knupp. Find it interesting here. We got Max Wobbles running in 13th. He's on the pit lane right now. Wobbles has a 5,100 road I rating. Best lap of the day, a minute 50.38. Now, you don't know where he got that road I rating from. It could have been strictly in GT cars or things like that, so it doesn't always apply perfectly on the stock car side of things.
And then you look up into 4th place, Steve, and you see Brandon Alphin with a 322 I rating in road, and I know for a fact he is super fast.
Well,
just
yeah,
about anything he drives.
You had a battle with him at Indianapolis. That was a fun one, too.
Yep, I was going to ask you what track that was. I remember battling with him, and he was faster than me just about every lap of that race. It was lucky to keep him behind me.
Alpin's usually got good pace just about everywhere he goes, but clearly does not run many officials. And just as we suspected, here comes Luke Knupp down pit lane, sticks to the same schedule. Bondurant goes P1, doesn't chase him down. I'm curious if Bondo stays out another lap and continues on his strategy, but so far, race folding right into the hands of the 15 as he slides to a stop in his pit box. Crew goes around to the right side. Goodyear Racing Eagles going on. 4 tires and Sunoco race fuel for the 15. Clean stop for Luke Knupp. Drops the jack down and away. 14.56 seconds the pit stop for the 15. He's back out there. He's going to rejoin here. Looks like in P4. He was back in 13th, 14th position the first time around when he did this pit cycle. shaping up for a solid finish, if not a win, if he plays his cards right. Steve Miles coming up in a hurry, though, into this first horseshoe. He's going to tuck in behind. Miles, admittedly not a road racer, but he's making a good go of it.
You know, I don't know if we're going to see Bondo come in this lap, but I bet you he comes in at least 2 laps earlier than what he was planning.
I mean, he's almost, I don't know. If he's going to win this thing, he's got to come down, I think, this time, because just 5 laps, and there was about a 14-second swing in that 5-lap time frame. So remember, Luke Knupp came at lap 15. Bondurant was lap 20. When Luke came to pit road, he had about a 6-second gap to make up. Bondurant loses connection here for a moment. He made the stop, had the better lap times for about 5 laps. That's all it took. And he was able to cycle back to the race lead and put 8.5 seconds on Bondurant. So that was a massive switch. And here he comes, Bondurant in pit lane, supposedly.
Teleporting.
Saying it earlier, and now Fontaine looks like he's coming down the pit lane. Yes, he is. Bondurant, there he is, just apparated into his pit stall.
That's a pit entry right there, Steve, if I've ever seen one.
Can't miss the box when you just beam right in. Bondurant, 4 tires and fuel, drops the jack. 15.05 seconds. A whole half-second plus slower than Luke Knupp. And just like that, look who's back out in front. 15 of Luke Knupp with warm, fresh tires.
So it's going to definitely take at least a full lap for Justin to get up to speed and get these tires to where you can kind of trust them as Luke kind of gets in deep in there.
Well, you knew he was fully aware that Bondurant was in pit lane here, and he was trying to get everything he could before Bondurant could get back into his rhythm.
So these tires are pretty similar between the 2 cars, and Luke's still up 5.5 seconds here.
Yeah, but with that, he really only lost a couple of seconds. Because what was it? Bondurant was closing in. He was as close as 2.5 seconds prior to the pit stops. Knupp cycles back to the top spot here. 5.8 seconds over Bondurant. Justin's going to have the pace here. I think this could be interesting.
I think Luke might be doing a better job maybe coming into pit road, too. You know, he gets into his box perfect when he slides it in like that.
Sounds like another guy I know.
Yeah, Brian Rose.
I was talking about the NS4 guy trying to get on the pit lane here, like his hair's on fire and he's out of cigarettes and gasoline.
If you're not sideways, you're not going fast enough.
Yeah, right. So the timing tower now says 27 laps to go. Looks like the SDK software is making some adjustments to how this thing ticks down. It was originally giving us an actual time, and now it is switched to a lap count. My guess is it's taking all of that data and averaging it together to try and come up with a rough estimate of laps remaining. Probably because we're running the NASCAR tower instead of a typical road racing overlay, which is fine. It may adjust. You may you might see here in the tower, it'll say 27 to go, and it might change to an oddball number after that. It may not even be remotely accurate, but we'll see. If it is pretty accurate, well, that means one thing. We still have one more cycle of pit stops to worry about before this one's over.
Sweet.
And with that said, I mean, we're an hour and 2 minutes in, so we should have about 28 minutes, 27 minutes left. I don't know. I know we got one more break to worry about. That's about it. But we'll know when it gets close. Luke Knupp's still your race leader, but man, Bondo is cruising. It's cut into the deficit. It's 4.8 seconds now, but Knupp's last lap of 49.16 almost topped the fastest lap of the race overall over Bondurant. Bondurant's fast lap, which is the fastest lap of anybody in the field today, a minute 49.09.
I think we're going to see new fast lap for Bondo this time around. He's moving.
So keep it clean through the bus stop. Sounded good.
Sounds good, looks good. I'm thinking 148.9 maybe.
148.9.
I'm giving him credit.
lightning fast. That'd be a full second faster than his best of the day. We're going to find out. 194 mile an hour at the stripe. 1 minute 48.45 seconds goes Justin Bondurant. How the heck did you figure that one out?
Get some, buddy. Get some.
Good God.
It looked good. Looked good, sound good.
Fast time for Bondurant. He knows he's got to catch Luke Knupp here before this one gets too late in the running. What a lap. Full second faster than the race leader, and he's still 4.5 seconds back.
Yeah, Luke's no slouch, man. He still turned a 149.4, so he's pretty consistent, only 0.3 off his best lap.
Battle for the third spot, Steve Miles and Alex Bryson going at it. A little bit of damage to the number 24. Man, you hear how long he waits to get on the throttle there, just forever.
Pictures all of it.
I'm sure it's just a layer. Oh, Bryson lifted. He's maintaining a gap between himself and the 24. Knows it's too early to push. If he kept his foot in the throttle down the backstretch, he would have been there for the move, but he lifted, stays in the draft. Might actually be trying to save some fuel. Steve Miles and Bryson both coming to pit lane here. Well, that explains why that was happening. Both drivers coming down pit lane for their, well, I can't imagine it's their final stop of the day. I suppose it could be. Oh, Miles has to pull forward just a bit. Stops short of the box. He's going to lose a little bit of time there. Lane Sparling in the pits as well. Again, a decent road rating for him. A 26.96 is his I rating on the road courses.
Look at that difference, Steve. Coming into pit road, if you have to pull into your box just a little bit, you're coming out.
Stopped short by 6 inches, and it cost him a position on the racetrack.
You know how hard it is to pass at this place. I mean, that's everything.
Luckily for this place, though, there are a couple of places that you can really get in and outbrake a guy. You see Miles really doing it right there, not wasting any time trying to close the gap through that first horseshoe. Both of those horseshoes, heavy braking zones, good opportunity to try and outbrake your competition, but Bryson pulling away. Back out front, Luke Knupp, still your race leader. Says 22 to go. I think that's more minutes than it is laps, but we're going to jump out here, get our final HBR TV side-by-side break out of the way. I'll get that out of my mouth eventually. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
Crazy.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Daytona International Speedway, less than 18 minutes remain. Luke Knupp still your race leader, but I don't know how long it's going to last. He's got about 3 seconds on Bondurant, at least for the time being. Bondurant might have made a mistake there in turn 1, lost a full second. It's now 3.7, the distance back to the 11.
Man, that's all it takes, Steve. One corner and all that work you put in is gone. And that last lap time for both of them, they're pretty darn even.
You read my mind, man. I was just talking about it. We talked about it before we went to break, the lap times. Even in the break, we were chatting about Bondurant really closing the gap. But, man, we're talking 0.03 of a second the difference. The last time by was 17 minutes to go. Oh, Luke Knupp's having trouble getting the power down, though.
He's going to feel that next 3 turns. I tell you, you get those things hot one time, it's the next 3-4 turns they're tough.
That's the thing, too. When it starts doing that, you got to pretty much send all the brake pressure to the front tires, the front wheels, to try and take some friction away from those rear tires. Try to allow them to cool off. You're not just burning them up on the gas, okay? You get on the brakes real hard, trying to slow that thing down from 194 miles an hour to 55 miles an hour, you're going to get those rear tires hot, too. So you send the brakes to the front for a lap, maybe even 2, provided you've got enough distance to second place to do it. And then you can adjust them back to the rear once they cool down. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get the power down. And even seeing that exiting the bus stop, Luke Knupp having trouble putting the power to the ground. Let's ride on board with Luke Knupp as he gets into turn 1. Oh, runs real wide. Big mistake. Yanking it down, losing a rear end. Oh, that's going to be a big problem. Did Justin have the same problem?
Hey, caught him a little bit.
Gained a few tenths, but now it's 3.8 once again. 16 minutes remain. I don't know if Bondo's got enough. Once he even gets there, is he going to be able to make the pass? Yes, he's got 2 lap pressure tires, but man, they're wore out.
I tell you, it's the hardest thing to do, but Bondo's got to pretend he doesn't even see that car. He's just got to pretend he's not even there, run his own pace, take care of what he's got, and just do his own time, you know?
It's so
easy. You see that car ahead of you, you see him do a mistake, it makes you just go that much harder, you know?
Oh, it's like throwing a piece of meat at a hungry dog.
Yeah, actually, it's perfect.
I mean, I'm guilty of it too. There's been plenty of times where I'm reeling in a guy and I'm getting a 10th here, a 10th there. I'm like, man, I'm catching this guy. I know it. And then he makes a big mistake and I gain 4 or 5 tenths out of the deal. I'm like, oh, here he is. And then I try harder the next corner and I give it all back.
Bondo definitely caught him a little bit. Probably a full second.
You know, but he's been this close in the last handful of laps, and then he lost it all. I honestly think that if Bondo gets there, I think he's going to get the pass done in NASCAR 3 and 4. He's going to have to back up his entry to the bus stop, get the power down a little early on exit, use a little bit of the draft. If he gets the pass done before he gets to start and finish, I think he'll have him clear into 1. A little correction for Bondurant there in turn 1.
Yeah, these things are loose. Derek Welch in the stream chat.
Derek Welch, thanks for checking in there, Derek. What's going on with you? Up still with the race lead, 2.8 seconds. It's all due to that pit strategy he took early on in this race.
What are you thinking on pit stops?
Well, looking at the time left, we're under 13 minutes. If Luke pits every 15 laps, he's due to come in at lap 45. We're about to get 41 on the board. It's going to be close. If I'm Luke, I think I'm done pitting. Because he wasn't pitting because of fuel. He was pitting because he wanted to get the tire strategy worked out.
Yeah, I was going to say, if they both had to pit for fuel, if neither one could make it, if I was Bondo, I'd give Luke the same medicine back. I'd short pit him as quick as possible. Pass him in pit lane, get out there, try to stay ahead of him.
Yeah, but there's not enough time left to make it worth your while. And
That's the problem.
And if I'm Luke Knupp, you know, my spotter's going to tell me, yeah, Bondurant's hitting pit lane here. The next time by, I'm coming down.
Yeah, you have to. Definitely have to.
I mean, that's one way to try and pull him down pit lane and force a mistake. That is absolutely an option, but we got about 12 minutes to go here. I don't think either driver has to stop.
Wow, look at those last lap times, because it just can't get any closer than that.
Yeah, and it's like Bondurant gains some, and then he loses some, gains some, loses some, and we're talking half a tenth, if that, not even. "12 minutes to go here. Let's try and get through the field the best that we can. Luke Knupp, your race leader currently, started in the 3rd spot. Justin Bondurant running in P2, fastest in practice, won the pole position, dominated the first half of this race, but hasn't seen the point quite some time. He's reeling in the race leader. We'll see what he can do when he gets there. Sam Fontaine up in the 3rd spot, started 4th, having a good solid afternoon. Brandon Alphin started 5th, running 4th. Also a good day for the number 21 machine. Sean Petchin also up 1 position in the 5th spot. And good old Max Wobbles ran a 1-minute lap time in qualifying. I think he skipped the entire infield. But he's up 10 spots in P6. Cameron Ingram in 7th. Gunslingers Racing. Diego Sainz running in 8th. Alex Cummings running back in the 9th spot, just behind. This could be a battle for position soon enough. These guys have really been all tight together all race long. Alex Bryson rounding out the top 10. Steve Miles started 11th, running 11th. As long as you're not going backwards, I guess you're having a good day. Blaine Sparling started 12th, running 12th. Tristan Lattiser, 13th. Sam Barnes, Ben Pierce running 14th in the number 4 Gradient Concepts machine. Sam Barnes now 15th in the number 22. Josh Gagnon running in the 16th spot. Last car on the lead lap. And we got a battle shaping up. 0.3 of a second, the advantage for Luke Knupp over Justin Bondurant. It's close now. I don't know if there was a big mistake made for the 15, but with 10 minutes left, Bondurant is there.
Man, I was wondering, Steve, if the SDK was just playing games with my head or if something happened.
Something happened. Luke Knupp in trouble. He has got company. Justin Bondurant all over the back bumper. Oh, dives into the inside. A little bit of contact.
Man. That's clean racing right there. Bondo could have loosened him up there, but he stayed off him. Great driver.
Bondurant trying to get the power down. So is Luke Knupp.
Steve, you know Bondo. He's not going to make the pass there. He's going to make this clean and quick. It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to this.
He's going to hold a draft. I bet you he's going to shorten up the corner, back his entry up, and get it like we talked about early. Now he's a little later on the brakes than Luke Knupp. Takes a defensive entry. Knupp pulls away just a bit. A little loose on exit. Knupp trying to gather it back up.
See how defensive Luke is here.
Bondurant's got the draft here. We'll see if he can move the slingshot here, pull it to the outside. No restrictor plates at Daytona when you're running the road course. We'll see if he can make it work. Bondurant looking to the outside. 9 minutes to go. He is there, but Knupp has the preferred line. What a battle down into turn number 1. Bondurant stays alongside. Knupp pushes him wide, maintains the top spot. Justin Bondurant all over Luke Knupp like a cheap suit into the first horseshoe. Not even a car length between the two of them. 8 minutes to go. Can Luke Knupp do this without a mistake and still keep that top spot over Justin Bondurant, who is so strong everywhere we go, whether it's on an oval or a road course? He's going to be a contender. Under braking once again. Turn 7, getting back onto the NASCAR oval. Nupp gets the power down a little better than Bondurant. Back to the banking.
This will come down to the drivers, Steve. This is where everybody's got to kind of take care of their tires, but try to get the pass done at the same time. It's like the hardest thing in the world to do.
Especially when you know who's behind you. Luke Nupp knowing Bondurant and his ability level. It's so hard to not overdrive the race car.
It's one of the hardest things to do is to hit your marks and not look behind you. Big run by Bondo here, though.
Definitely backed up his entry into the bus stop. Let's see if he pulls the draft here again. He's a little closer than he was. Bondurant about a half-mile-an-hour faster in the speed trap. Peeks to the outside, still tucked in behind. Switches lanes, looking inside. Goes wide once again. Nupp doing a great job taking the preferred lane away from the 11. 7 minutes remain.
You see how he stays low too, Steve, to block the crossover?
Textbook road racing. Bondurant to the inside, though, out of the horseshoe. He's there, but he's got to worry about the left-hand kink. Nupp closes the door again.
Look at these cars dancing for grip.
Unbelievable. Hard braking into the right-hand horseshoe. This is where it got close and scary before. Oh, Nupp runs wide. He's in the loose stuff. Bondurant takes the top spot. 6 minutes to go, and Nupp makes a mistake. Finally lets the 11 through. Wow. I'll tell you, these road races without cautions can be boring. But I tell you, the last handful of laps, the most excitement we've seen all day, it's been worth the wait. Bondurant reeling in Luke Nupp after Luke was able to short pit the field a couple of times, got a big advantage, took the top spot through that pit strategy, thought he was going to be en route to a win. Bondurant caught on, changed up his strategy just a bit. Didn't lose as much ground as earlier on in the race, and here he goes, stretching it out. 1.5 seconds the advantage on a NASCAR 4, coming to less than 5 minutes remaining.
It was a tough exit out of the bus stop for Luke Nupp. Unfortunately, I think he pushed on the entrance a little bit, and it cost him that entire banking and straightaway.
Oh, a lot of right turn into that first corner. I tell you, Bondurant's pulling away, but he is, I bet he's sweating in that cockpit of his right now because he is working hard behind the wheel.
Yeah, I think Bondo just really needed that clean air. Of course, I say that, now we got a bunch of lap traffic.
He's understeering big time. He's got a lot of right turn into that wheel just to get it to turn around, and then of course you put the power down and it's major oversteer. Two difficult situations to deal with, sometimes in the same corner. Coming up on Tyler Brewer to put him a lap down here shortly. Bondurant still 1.4 seconds ahead of the 15 of Luke Knupp. A lap car in between. That's Tyler Brewer. About 3 minutes remain here from Daytona. In the Downrange Transport Premier Series, they run their road courses on a time limit instead of lap count. But if you want to look at the lap count, we're at about lap 46 and a half. See Bondurant laying rubber out of the horseshoe once again. Luke still maintaining about a tenth of a second per lap within distance of Bondurant here. He's still not gaining any ground, but he is pretty close. Remember, he does have 2-lap older tires, so his pace is not terrible. It's still 1.7 seconds back. Little wiggle on entry, little wheel hop for Bondurant. I gotta think that Bondurant's wheel hopping about every corner right about now.
Yeah, I'm thinking just about every spot on this track possible.
So we'll see here when they get back by if he gets the white flag. I believe he will. He approaches the tri-oval for a final time, and he does. Barney waving the white flag. Final lap from Daytona.
That's exactly what Bondo wants to see right now.
Not lap traffic. That was close getting into one with the lap machine to his outside. That was Chris Evans. Chris has had many of off-track excursions here this afternoon. As we said it in the open of tonight's race, there's going to be some hot shoes running quick lap times on the road course, and there's a bunch of guys out here that cannot wait to get back on an oval next week. Justin Bondurant through the kink for a final time. Back to the brakes in the last horseshoe. Turn 6. Trying to get the power down on exit once again. Maintaining a 2-second advantage over second place Luke Knupp. Meanwhile, I think Max Wobbles has crashed. Big time damage to the number 99 machine. He's going to try and limp it home. One more braking zone for Justin Bondurant, and it is the bus stop. Left, right, right, left. Executes it beautifully, back to the power, and he's not going to lift until he crosses the line with a checkered flag. Justin Bondurant, fastest in the practice session, won the pole position, dominated the first half of this one, had to work hard to come back and take the win. Justin Bondurant wins the Daytona Grand Prix, the Downrange Transport Premier Series. Luke Knupp, a hard-fought P2. Sam Fontaine still working his way around. NASCAR 3 and 4 to finish in the 3rd spot. Brandon Elfin not too far behind, a handful of car lengths. Sean Petchen out of turn number 4 to round out the top 5. Justin Bondurant, your race winner here from Daytona. Well earned, Zach. What'd you say?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was a lot of fun to watch towards the end. He took care of his stuff, and he just waited for Luke to make that mistake. And unfortunately for Luke, he made just a little bit of a mistake, and it was all it took, man. Justin Bondo hit his marks, and he just took off.
As if there's anything left on those tires.
What would Ken Block do?
On a happy camper doing his burnouts outside turn 7. Let's take a look at our race results. We're not going to have our top 3 interviews as this is a tape-delayed broadcast, but we can certainly take a look at the results. Of course, Justin Vonderant, your race winner. Luke Knupp finishes in the 2nd spot. Sam Fontaine was 3rd. Brandon Alphen 4th in the number 21 HBR TV entry. Sean Petchen, the number 69, finished in the top 5 and 5th. Alex Cummings was 6th. Cameron Ingram P7. Steve Miles in 8th. Alex Bryson was 9th. Diego Sainz, the number 44, was 10th. Max Wobbles, late race incident, finishes in the 11th spot. Blaine Sparling was 12th. Tristan Lattiser, the 23, Speed Ranch entry, was 13th. Ben Pierce was 14th. Sam Barnes, Josh Gagnon, 15th and 16th. Cedric Ingram, 17th. Tyler Brewer was 18th. 19th place finisher was Richard Midkiff. 20th was Chris Evans after a tough afternoon. Jason Dalton popped a motor on the start, finishes 21st. Andrew Miller was 22nd. Chris Dean, the Dean Machine, was 23rd. Asher Gwinsey, 24th. And Luke Simonson, 25th. Bondo knows he earned this one. He's certainly having a blast celebrating here on the front stretch in the Tri-Oval. Kind of reminds me of Ty Gibbs when he won that Xfinity race here.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. It looks very similar.
Get out of my head, Millet.
I know.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for us here at Daytona International Speedway for the Daytona Grand Prix, the Downrange Transport Premier Series. Zach, I got to thank you for jumping up here in the booth. Totally volunteer on your part. I appreciate the help, as always. And, guys, thank you guys for chiming in the stream chat. And watching tonight's race, though, was a day behind. Next week, I got to double-check the schedule. I think we're live next week. There is one coming up here that I may have to tape delayed depending on the work schedule, but we will cross that bridge when we get to it. Either way, you won't miss it. We'll get it covered here, whether it's live or tape delay. Always excited for that. Thank you guys all for watching. We'll see you at the next one.